Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we are continuing my series of Ninjago crystallized episode reviews by taking a look at episode 17 of the entire season, entitled The Coming of the King. My goal for today's episode review is to just give my very quick thoughts on this episode, talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between. At the very end of the video, I plan to give the episode a score out of 10 according to my own opinion, and really quick, this episode review will indeed contain spoilers for the episode at hand. If you have not yet watched this episode, feel free to check it out before watching this review. It'll still be here by the time you get back, might just make for a better experience overall. So this is the big episode where Lloyd finally escapes the Crystal King Temple, or at least tries to in a way. We'll talk more about that later on. Firstly, in terms of the good though, I do want to talk really quick about the history reference between Lloyd and the Overlord. The Overlord spends a pretty decent chunk of time towards the beginning of this episode talking to Lloyd about the history between him and the family. For example, he mentions how the first Spinjitzu master failed to defeat him, he mentions how Garmadon failed to defeat him, and now Lloyd has tried twice, and both times he's failed to defeat him. I just thought that was pretty cool. It just goes to show that this is indeed the Overlord, these characters are the same. Also, the entire Crystal Council gets upgraded this episode, and the temple starts floating in the sky. I love the idea of the Crystal King Temple just floating above the land of Ninjago. There's just something about that that's a little bit unsettling, a little bit creepy to me, and I love how that feels. Also, the Crystal Council gets upgraded. It's an alright scene. I mean, they do deserve their upgrades, I guess, but we'll talk more about the villains later on. I also really enjoy the chase to get to Lloyd. All of the villains are frantically trying to run throughout the temple trying to find him after Lloyd does escape. In the meantime, the Overlord prepares his Avenged Stone army, which I also enjoyed. I love his new army. Kind of reminds me of the Stone army a little bit, but obviously more updated for the modern day. And like I said, Lloyd's chase scene was pretty exciting with some awesome twists and turns here and there. Pretty cool action as well, which ultimately culminates in Lloyd and Harumi towards the very end of the episode both falling off the Crystal Temple together. I'm not really sure what Harumi's deal is though. She mentions multiple times to the Overlord that she does not want to see Lloyd destroyed, and the Overlord just kind of dismisses that there. I just thought that was pretty intriguing. What exactly is Harumi's deal? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Also, I enjoyed the ninja at the end. The ninja team gets word that Lloyd is still alive, and as a team they unanimously decide to go after him, which is a nice contrast to how they were towards the beginning of the season when they were kind of at each other's throats and not really playing as a team. In terms of the bad, my only real problem with this episode was dialogue. I'm not sure what was going on with the dialogue this episode. There were just a lot of really awkward and misplaced lines, very cheesy lines as well that could have been written a little bit better. For example, Esphira, the mechanic, even Pythor, all of those characters had lines that just really didn't work for me and jokes that really didn't land. They're trying really hard to make Pythor British this time around. I mean, Pythor's always been British, let's be real, but now that's like his entire personality, and I'm not sure why. I do like the one line that Pythor had though, where he mentions how it's fitting it comes down to a battle between him and Lloyd, but everything else that Pythor said just kind of made me roll my eyes, and I just wasn't a huge fan of the villains this episode, aside from Harumi of course, because her lines actually made so much sense, and Mr. F of course, because he doesn't talk. But yeah, dialogue was really the only thing about this episode that I really didn't care for. Everything else I thought was pretty fun, and even then you could argue that the dialogue complaint is just a nitpick, nothing more. With that being said though, in terms of a final score, I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a 9 out of 10. Again, just taking off 1 point there for the really awkward dialogue. Otherwise, everything else about this episode was fun, entertaining, riveting, and I liked this episode overall. Can't really go wrong with this one. Would highly recommend checking it out if you guys have not seen it just yet. So with that being said guys, thank you all so much for watching. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts on episode 17 of Ninjago Crystallized, The Coming of the King. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and my episode review. If you did, let me know down below in the comments what you thought of both the episode and my video here. And thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate that. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again later. Peace.